Focus podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Gaurav Singal, who was named Chief Technology Officer for Cantaloupe in September 22. Mr. Singal brings over 20 years of experience in scaling technology companies and driving product innovation. Prior to joining Cantaloupe, Mr. Singal was Chief Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Georgia Lottery Corporation, where he led organization to a successful digital transformation. So his previous experience includes serving as a Chief Product Officer at XPO Logistics, Vice President of Technology at Goldman Sachs, and as a former technology startup founder. Singal holds an undergrad degree in chemical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and a master's degree in computer science from University of Illinois. So without further delay, let me welcome Mr. Singal to the call. Hi, Gaurav.
Hey, Jayant. I've been a technologist for several years. I love technology. I love what I do. And one of the learning my parents was do what you love and love what you do. I've been enjoying the ride.
So let me jump into some of the questions that I had for you on this podcast. COVID has made a lot of changes in our corporate life, even including our personal life. But I would like to know from you some of the lessons that you learned during COVID and some of the best practices that you think should continue post-COVID.
Absolutely, Jayant. In mid of 2020, all of us were stunned by the onset of coronavirus and the pandemic. I used to be at Georgia Lottery at that time. So essentially, we have done a lot of tabletop exercises, risk management as to how we would operate in an emergency or crisis situation. All those documented plans, incident response plans as to, hey, this is what's going to happen. But pandemic brought a different sort of a challenge, right? We had a playbook that, hey, in case of an emergency response plan, these are the key players who we would like to involve as the department heads from various parts of the organization, how we can actually navigate the situation really rapidly because everybody was mandated to go and work from home within a matter of days. So we executed on that playbook. Everything wasn't there, but we had a blueprint as to what we should do. We were able to have people work remotely as well as run business virtually and at scale. I think crisis, economic sudden turns, they actually push people in a mode where they are forced to make decisions and be able to operate in an emergency kind of a situation. And we were no different. So what we have learned from that is the actions that we took. We have baked all of our emergency response plan. So in case such a situation happens again, or some of the things that we did differently, those were available again as a playbook for us to be able to navigate in another crisis, which I'm sure in different challenges, but at least there is some sort of a way for us to get in such an unpredictable.
As an extension of this, because everybody is talking about the new way of working. COVID has made us work from remote and it has completely changed the dynamics in terms of, yes, people can be productive even they work from home, but it has also put tremendous pressure on a company culture. And you know how company culture is very important for each and every company if they want to drive innovation, attract new people, want to make their employees happy. So talk about how your company culture has changed and what do you see going forward?
I think any company always struggle, right? If you're a true global setup, it's very difficult to keep the culture consistent across your different locations. But majority of the time, you got to invest as leaders in your company culture, in your people. And ours is no different. But essentially, when people are co-located, when they are at the same location, coming to the offices, typically the company culture thrives and you could take decisions, you could actually help people to align with the culture, the values, the company trajectory that you as leaders are looking to grow the company in. But I'm sure you have in some global teams, leadership distributed environment is a challenge. Especially today, I think we all realize that remote work is going to be part of our life. It's going to be a healthy mix between remote and being in the office. What has worked is essentially one is trusting in your team, right? Pushing the decision making to every person on your team so they feel empowered. They can make decisions They can pick up the phone, talk to anybody across the organization, within the department, outside the department, and safe culture to your employees that they feel empowered. I think this is very important.
As a CTO, how do you see an impact on innovation? Because a lot of these companies like Apples and Googles of the world are saying that if you're not co-located, you don't come to office, innovation goes down. So what have you experienced as a CTO?
We are very big on agile, and as we rapidly shift into everybody being remote, right? There's a healthy collaboration that is built in agile structures, right? So we kind of had ahead that people are not co-located, everybody's remote, but Zoom having everybody on the virtual meeting helped to be able to collaborate. Now, since we are doing a hybrid environment, any new projects, anything new, we are doing design perspective, actually urging people to be in person so they can actually collaborate and do the design work together. And then if they're doing something, keeping the lights on, there's no reason for them to be in the office, so they can be remote, right? So I think in the role where you are in the life cycle of the work that you are doing, right? And by the end of the day, right, as leaders, we have to develop that connective tissue with our employees to ensure they feel empowered to work remotely or in the office.
That leads me to, you spoke about Zoom, but can you talk about more technologies and how technology has specifically helped you in operating in a very efficient way? And what changes have you seen done?
We actually started relying a lot on digitization after the onset of pandemic. A lot of the process was paper-based at the lottery, and that had leapfrogged us to digitize a lot of our processes to be online. Any approvals, anything, we leveraged right signature. We were having end customers come to us to pick up a price check at lottery. Digitized all that process, right? People could actually request online. They can check in online. The check would be available for them. We'll just validate their driver license and check would be handed over to them without having a lot of interaction, and made it fully touchless experience. We also invested in the touchless, right? If you are using your credit card to buy, we made the whole process touchless, where you could just use the tap and go to be able to purchase goods. And with the current situation, it leapfrogged us into digital transformation at scale and digitized a lot of our processes. And the learning is we are constantly taking costs out of our processes and challenging anything that is very repeated and manual. If there's a possibility of digitizing and taking costs from that equation using technology.
That leads me to my other question. We know inflation is real. As a CXO, how do you optimize your cost without really impacting your long-term growth?
In a company like where I have worked all along my journey, there are two types of costs that are in any company. One is bad cost and one is good cost. Bad costs are the costs that do not align with the overall strategy of your organization. The cost is out there for a reason. People have not paid attention, processes are manual, there are resources, there are technologies that are legacy, and people have not had the drive to go and challenge them and optimize them. So those are the bad costs, and especially during economic downturns and recession, where people start to look under the hood and see how they can optimize it. But again, you don't have to wait for an economic downturn. You as a leader should always be looking at how we can cut the bad costs from the equation and the company so that the company is operationally efficient. That impacts your bottom line. And then good costs are the costs that are aligned with your business strategy. You always want to invest your limited resources and money where you could make the maximum impact. You want to grow the company. You want to align your resources from technology that you can make an impact to your customers. You want to align your resources that you're taking the business strategy forward. So I'm continuously working with our executive team, and we're constantly developing our business strategy and continually investing our resources and good cost to drive value.
So what you're saying is, look at the bad cost, look at your good cost, which is really driving the business. Don't do major cuts on the good cost, optimize it, automate the processes as much as you can, but bad costs, go hard behind it. Try and get that down. This is a great advice. I first want to focus on my bad cost and then optimize my good cost.
Minimize your exposure to bad cost and maximize investment in
good cost.
That will help you create a real growth model, irrespective of how the economic conditions are.
Wow, that is great. Now, final question. What advice would you like to give to other CTOs out there? Because you are very well experienced. There are a lot of new CTOs who are still figuring out what they should be doing and how they should be making an impact or going through a digital transformation in that company. Because everybody talks about digital transformation, but it takes a lot of emotional toll on the executives as well as on the employees.
Yeah, I think one quick advice is when you're an executive, one thing that is always running against you is the time. So you've got to maximize what you can do for the company that you're working in the limited time you're there. That's one. Secondly, I think you should identify, as we started the podcast, what you love to do. I think it's very important that you have a great understanding of what that work is. I work like crazy hours, but I don't even feel like I worked a single hour because I like what I do. Be passionate about what you do. You would not feel it as work. You will feel that you are driving value. You're doing something for yourself. Finally, one piece of advice is work hard. Majority of the people who have actually been successful, if you see, there's a lot of grit, lot of hard work that has happened behind the scene.
Absolutely.
So work hard, love what you do. I think this would set you up for success in any role, right? Whether you're CTO, you're a budding CTO, you're a VP, SVP.
Great advice. Thank you so much. It was really pleasure having you on the call. And I look forward to working with you, man. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.